Hello, my name is Carson Rufledt, and I'm a freshman at KU in Psychology 104 doing the video extra credit. My topic was prompt number 4. The prompt was, I had a friend in college who was undergoing therapy for depression. Unfortunately, some people from our class got to know about this and frequently brought it up to taunt her and exclude her from fun activities. This experience was clearly upsetting to her, and she regretted going to therapy in the first place. After witnessing how she had been stigmatized, I've been motivated to learn why people stigmatize those with mental illness and how one can reduce mental illness stigma. As a volunteer with an organization on mental illness, I now have opportunities to go to high schools and colleges and talk to people about mental illness. Please provide me with information on why people discriminate against those with mental illnesses and what one can do to reduce this. In my research, I found 2 articles on this particular topic, and I wrote summaries on both. The first article was by Dr. David B. Feldman and Dr. Christian S. Crandall, titled Dimensions of Mental Illness Stigma. What about mental illness causes social rejection? In the article by Dr. David B. Feldman and Dr. Christian S. Crandall, it discusses people's social reactions to mental illness. He found that people with mental illness may not be openly rejected from settings or by groups of people. The mentally ill are not as accepted as somebody without mental illness. Most predominant rejections were 3 different categories. These 3 categories are personal responsibility, dangerousness, and the rarity of the mental illness. The people that were surveyed were all Psychology 104 students that attended a university. After the article talks about the observation, it investigates how to make people with mental disorders less socially rejected by clinical therapy, psychotherapeutic methods, and public education. Feldman concludes this article by an understanding of these dimensions and the pathways through which they lead to rejection may aid in this task. The second article was similar. It was by Dr. Martinez, Dr. Piff, Dr. Mendoza, Denton, and Dr. Hinshaw, titled The Power of a Label, Mental Illness Diagnosis, Ascribed Humanity and Social Rejection. Both Dr. Feldman and Dr. Crandall have done extensive research on this topic, but in order to get an accurate idea for a topic or answer, you need more than one opinion. In the first experiment, the participants were shown a person with chronic mental illness or chronic physical illness, and asked about the people based only in this category. The psychologists used 3 different methods to measure the social acceptance, ascribed humanity to the target, then they measured perceptions of threat and dangerousness. In study 2, the psychologists replicated parts of the first experiment in order to further study to find out if ascribed humanity had any authority over their ideas of perceived dangerousness and rejection intentions. Study 2 extended Study 1 by using specific mental labels to describe. The psychologists provided cognition studies to describe the person, such as what they thought about the person, and used multiple items to improve their measurements of perceived dangerousness. In conclusion, we found that the psychologists have broken down how people characterize and reject mentally ill patients. They use personal responsibility, or in other words, how responsible a person is and how the impact that a mentally ill person can make on society, both good and bad. Dangerousness, how dangerous a person can be to themselves and to others, and the rarity of the mental illness. For example, a very ill or a very rare mental illness would be more socially rejected than a more common mental illness.